One thing that can be very annoying for your users is if the keyboard is overlapping or the keyboard is not showing up in your .NET MAUI application. Now in the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, we have the keyboard extensions, which will help you manage your soft keyboard a little bit better. Let's go check it out. The on-screen keyboard is one of those things that should just work, right? It can be very annoying though if it doesn't behave as you kind of like expect, especially for your end users. Whenever you tap an entry and the keyboard doesn't come up, or it overlaps the entry and you cannot see what you type. So there is some issues around that, although, you know, the keyboard should just work, right? It's one of those things that you would expect to just work, but there's a lot of different scenarios and ways that you can go about this keyboard. So I think the thing that I'm going to show you in this video is coming to .NET MAUI directly. It will be in the .NET MAUI box in .NET 8 at the time of recording. The first previews of .NET 8 are out, so if you're brave enough, you might want to check that out. But the official stable .NET 8 release will be in November 2023. At this time, it's a few months away, so that will be maybe too long for people. So to overcome that problem, we took in the functionality right now for the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use this functionality in the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, how to have more control over your on-screen keyboard. But this should come to .NET MAUI directly, so that's something that you should know. Let's just hop over to my screen share and let's see how to get started with this inside of your own application. It's pretty easy, so that's a good thing, right? Here in Visual Studio, I created a new .NET MAUI project. You can see it running right here on the left. You can see the XAML, which is not that important for this video. On the right, you can see it running on my Android emulator right here. So this is just not doing anything fancy, just, you know, clicking, counting, doing the things a new .NET MAUI project does. And what I already did is install the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit package, because you have been subscribed to my channel, right? So you've already seen me do that a ton of times. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I will go over it very, very quickly. You probably know how to install a NuGet package, but just to be sure and everyone is on the same page. So you want to right click on your project and do manage NuGet packages, which is grayed out right now because the project is running. So let's change that. I'm going to go to my Solution Explorer, right click again and do manage NuGet packages. And you want to look for the community toolkit.maui. I already got it in here, and there is a couple of packages, so we also have other cool stuff. I have videos about that as well, so go check it out on my channel. You probably want the community toolkit.maui, which has everything, but I think this specific functionality, if you're after that, it's in the core package, so you just have to have that core package with the core functionality. You can use that as well, but I would recommend just doing community toolkit.maui because the chances are that you're going to use more stuff from this amazing package. At the time of recording, the latest version is 5.1.0. You will need that one as the least version for these keyboard extensions as well. So make sure that you have 5.1.0. Okay. With that installed, we can go over to our MAUI program because we need to initialize this, and we need to add this use MAUI community toolkit. Make sure that you have this using community toolkit.maui here at the top so that this shows up. And then you're all ready to go. The community toolkit is all bootstrapped. So let's go to our main page again, and actually to our main page code behind, and remove all this counter clicked code here. We don't need that because we're going to do something else. What I'm going to show you right now is how to do a couple of things. Detect if the keyboard is shown, so you can actually detect that in your code. You can show it and you can hide it. Now we can do that all in one thing. I can just show you here. It's 3 lines of code basically. So I will show you how to get started with that. So we can go to the keyboard extensions, and it already shows up here in my IntelliSense. And you can see it's in community toolkit.maui.core.platform. So we can just do that. And you can see it has these 3 things, right? Hide keyboard, show keyboard async, and is soft keyboard showing. So we have these couple of things. So let's add this little check right here. Is soft keyboard showing? And if it is, I'm going to hide it. If it's not showing, then I'm going to show it, right? So that we have the full example of all the things that you can do here. So if we check this, we have to specify a I text input. So this works for every input text field that is in .NET MAUI. The most basic example is, of course, an entry or an editor or a search bar or those kinds of things, right? So we actually have to specify a text input so that it knows how to rearrange the UI, how to tilt up maybe the screen to actually show and make sure that this text input is still visible to the user, right? So that's why it needs this thing. So let's quickly hop back to the XAML page because I don't have an entry here. Let's take this hello world, let's make this an entry. And I'm going to give this a little name attribute here so that we can actually reference it here. So let's make this my entry, something like that, doesn't really matter. And I can now take this one and do that here in this is Softkeyboard showing, so that it knows like, hey, is this showing, yes or no? And I can wrap an if around this, if it's showing, yes or no. And then we want the else, right? So if it's showing, we're going to hide it. And if it's not showing, then we're going to show it. That's what we're going to do. So the next thing is KeyboardExtensions dot it's showing, right? So we are going to hide it. And it's async, so you probably want to await it as well. I'm not going to, well, I can actually do that. Let's make this then async. There we go. And we can hide keyboard async, so I can now await this. And also here, you want to specify that my entry, right? We can see that here. We also have that target view that we want to put in here, and also a cancellation token. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's just do this one, my entry first, and let's kind of finish it off. We don't really finish it because we need that other parameter for the show keyboard, because that's very similar as well. Show keyboard async, that's kind of like the same thing. And you can see that same text input target view or a token. Now, there is a couple of interesting things here. Let me finish this story first. So this cancellation token, a cancellation token is a way to programmatically cancel a operation in C# or .NET. So you can work with that cancellation token, and whatever in your application you decide like, hey, okay, you should stop hiding that keyboard because it's not relevant anymore. You can have that cancellation token and you can call the cancel on it basically. So you can have that cancellation token. I'm not sure if this actually is new, and we can pass that token in here. So if we do that, and I think then somewhere you can do token dot cancel. Is cancel requested? Do something like that? Well, no, not really. I think you have to do something. You have to create a source. I think you have to create a cancellation token source, right? That's the way to go about it. Then you have this token, and you can say cancel here, you can say cancel after. I could think I can create a whole new video about the cancellation token. So if that's something what you want, let me know down in the comments, and I will make a video on that so that you know how to work with it. But here you can do that token, and you can pass in the token dot token. So in this case, the naming is not really great, but that will give you the cancellation token. And now whenever you would do token dot cancel, it will cancel the operation for this hide keyboard async, right? So you can do that. Now, in this case, there's probably a use case for us, else it would be implemented. But what you can do if you don't want to work with this functionality, you can just do comma default, and it will pass in basically a what I did here, like, hey, new cancellation token. So instead of this, you could also write new cancellation token. It will just pass in that new value in here, and you don't have a reference to it because you're not planning on using it anyway, right? And to make this a little bit easier, you can just do default here, and we can work with it that way. So don't worry about it for now, just do it like this. Whoops, now I'm messing up my code here. There we are. And same thing for the show keyboard async, so default. But what this also is, if you've looked closely, a little pop quiz here to the IntelliSense, whenever I did this, you can see that actually it was like that, right? Like, if you look at the IntelliSense, you could also see that this is like an extension method. So there's also the my entry dot, and you can also do show keyboard async on this. So you can also do it on the actual control that you want to show it on. And now you only have to specify that cancellation token, right? So you can just do that token again that I just removed. So you can also call it on the entry itself, so you don't have to specify the entry. So there's a couple of different ways how you can use this, which is really makes this really flexible as well. So we have all this, and well, we need to trigger this. So what we want to do to make sure that this is all visible, let's move that button to above, because else now the keyboard will overlap our button, right? So let's do this, and let's do show hide keyboard. You can find all this code on the GitHub repository that is attached to all of my videos, so find it in the video description. And I'm going to run it on the Android emulator now, and what we should see is the same, kind of like the same app that we had. Now the button will be on top with show high code. Which is not what I want to do. I wanted to do show high keyboard, and then it will come up with the keyboard and focus that entry and also hide it again, right? So now we have a very flexible way of going about our keyboard. So let's just fix this while we're here, and you can see that this will update whenever we run the next time. And here you can see this is now an entry, right? This hello world one. And let me get myself out of the way just so we're sure that you're seeing this. If I click the button, it's now going to set the focus to this entry, make sure that the entry is in the view, and it will actually show the keyboard, right? So that you can start entering things. And if I do it again, you can see that it will hide the keyboard again. Everything will fall into line. It will still be focused in this case, but everything will be here. You have that full control over the keyboard, and it actually detects like, hey, is the keyboard shown, yes or no? So you can use this in your application to make sure that the entry is always accessible to your user, that there's no funny business going on, and your user is not stuck entering entries in things that they can't see, right? So that's really, really amazing. Now, like I already mentioned, the keyboard is something that should just work mostly also for the OS, the operating system. So Android, iOS, it will mostly figure out how it should actually work. But, you know, for the cases where that is not the case, you can now have this full control over your keyboard. This will be in .NET 8, in .NET MAUI directly, but now to make it available to you already, it's in the .NET MAUI community toolkit for you to use today. Everything that I showed you can be downloaded right now and implemented in your .NET MAUI app. With that, please like and subscribe to this channel, like this video, and maybe check out the next video about the community toolkit, which is right here, and I'll be seeing you on the other side.